Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and today I'd like to discuss my top 5 animated movies that aren't done by Disney. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos daily. You can also find me over at Twitter and Instagram at Movie Guy 365. So, Disney's very popular with animation. And I know there are a lot of fans, and I'm one of them. I absolutely love Disney. I've been a lifelong fan of everything since I was little, living in Southern California. We used to go to the park all the time. And then, of course, now as an adult, I find myself frequently going to Disney World in Florida, and I've always loved their animation. I've always been a fan of it. But I think what gets overlooked is Disney is not the only name in animation, obviously, but there are a lot of animated films that I feel are just very, very good and are worthy of inclusion of a list that by itself. Disney will get its own list, at some point, but I really wanted to talk about what animated films in my life have left an impact as many of Disney has. So I'm going to go over my top 5, maybe throw in an honorable mention or two. These are not in any particular order. So, my number 1 is not necessarily my number 1, but these are all really, really good. They're excellent films, I feel. And if you haven't seen them, definitely check them out. They're readily available. Actually, all of them on the list. Yeah, absolutely. The number 5 one that had one of the most impacts on me would be, it's not even a good movie. It's not well made. It's actually technically a commercial for toys. That would be the original Transformers, the movie. I don't know. I saw this thing like 5 times in the theaters when I was a kid. I absolutely love it. It had everything to me. I was a fan of the TV show. I absolutely, loved everything Autobots, Decepticons. I still do. I'm all Generation 1. That's why I loved Bumblebee so much, is because that was the closest live action Transformers movie we've gotten to capture that feeling again. So if they continue making movies in that vein, I'll be a lifelong fan, so I absolutely loved it. Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime is just iconic, as much as Mark Hamill is the Joker. Those voices just go hand in hand, and it was so good, but it wasn't a great movie. Let's, get it out of the way. But it was emotional. It forever scarred children of that age, with the death of Optimus Prime. But yeah, I absolutely love Transformers the movie. My next one is The Secret of NIMH. This one was a Don Bluth film who pretty much bailed off of Disney. He had his own thing going on, and his movie, The Secret of NIMH, is so beautifully made. In my opinion, it's probably one of the best looking movies of that era. It's a gorgeous thing. It holds up extremely well. You watch it now. Yeah, Secret of NIMH. I mean, Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of NIMH that it's based on. It's so good. It's absolutely good. It's actually even it's a little bit haunting and scary in a lot of parts, especially when you're little watching this. But I go back to this one all the time. It's a beautifully made movie. It's gorgeous. My number 3, now this is where we start getting into, more of a niche kind of thing, but there's a movie I loved, and I think it's so underappreciated now, and especially in this era of superheroes, that kind of thing. And I think it gets unfairly, overlooked. And if you get it on disc, it has a gorgeous 3D look too. If you ever see it in 3D, absolutely pick it up. It's readily available. That's Megamind. I love this movie. Something about it just grabbed me. There's shades of the comic series Irredeemable in there that I love, where somebody gains superpowers like Superman and just completely abuses them. And honestly, Megamind, don't let the whole Will Ferrell thing, like, oh, it's a goofy thing, don't take it seriously. No. He does really well in this. And it's not necessarily a Will Ferrell movie. They're great characters. It's a great, hero-villain dynamic, or a hero-villain-hero dynamic. It's awesome. I always watch this. It's definitely overlooked. I mean, it came out right around the same time as Despicable Me, and I think Despicable Me just buried it. I think if it had been any other year, it probably would have done a little better. Even 5 years down the line, same movie, I think it would have hit harder, honestly. But as it was, Despicable Me kind of just destroyed it in the box office, and it just got thrown out because I think the potential there for sequels is high. Maybe we'll get lucky one day, they'll revisit it, but definitely check out Megamind. I really believe that's one of the better films. My number 2 is Iron Giant. What can I say about this film? Brad Bird makes an incredibly touching story about a boy and his 100-foot robot, and it is so good. It was back when Vin Diesel was not Vin Diesel. He was still kind of finding his way, and it's beautifully animated. It's a great story. It's a timeless story. You know, even though it takes place back, I believe, in the 50s, it's timeless. It is absolutely timeless. It's a beautiful story. Just the animation is wow. Even now, I'm chomping at the bit to get a 4K of this. But Brad Bird at his best. You know, you want to see what he can do. You know, besides The Incredibles, the Iron Giant, absolutely iconic. And of course, recently made an appearance in Ready Player One, which is, I could talk about that film all day. But yeah, Iron Giant, definitely check that one out. I urge you to go see it. It's beautiful. And my number 1 I want to mention is Coraline. Neil Gaiman, Henry Selick, craft together a beautiful story, but it's also like scary. It's just, there's so much going on with Coraline. The story is deeper than you think, and it's one of my favorite animated movies, honestly. This one I think would be my number 1 if I was actually making a number 1. It's so much behind Coraline. I can't get over it. It's just the animation, and a lot of people mistake that Tim Burton did this. No, he wasn't anywhere near this one. This is Henry Selick, Neil Gaiman, just, yeah, I mean, amazing. Absolutely check Coraline out. Also, it comes with a stellar 3D on Blu-ray if you get a chance. I could go on all day about Coraline. It's if you haven't seen it and you want something just a little creepy but fulfilling and just like a lot of meat on its bones, definitely check out Coraline. So that's pretty much it. I would like to mention 2 more. Just, you know, a really recent addition, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. That is probably the best looking animated film I've seen in a long time. And we're coming up on the Oscars. I fully expect it to win, but the animation style alone is so unique, and it's different, and it's got a good story, a compelling story featuring Spider-Man and the characters of the Spiderverse. You know, despite a minor, you know, nitpick at the end, I absolutely love this movie. I can't wait to get it on 4K. And also, another movie I think definitely deserves a little bit of love. Guillermo del Toro and The Book of Life. I went into this one thinking I was going to hate it, and I love it. I love the animation. I love the songs. I love the characters. I go back to this one every day, or I mean not every day, but every year, at least once. And it's catchy. The soundtrack is great. The story has that Guillermo del Toro vibe, and even the animation. There's a lot going. His influence is all over that film. Another one looks very good in 3D, especially when they're, you know, anything involving the Land of the Dead. It's a gorgeous looking film. I absolutely highly recommend it. Book of Life, definitely check that one out. So yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for my top animated films that aren't Disney. Leave in the comments below, what are some of your films that you love animation wise that aren't Disney? Leave in the comments. Let's talk about it. You know, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Please follow me over at Twitter and Instagram at MovieGuy365. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.